Coming up, the tech sector is known for its creativity, adaptability, and resilience. And if ever there was a year to recognize those qualities, it's this year. For the first half of our show this week, we'll highlight some of the 22nd annual TECHPOINT Mira Awards winners, including double Mira winner Yao Aning. TECHPOINT CEO Mike Langelier is also here. He'll give us perspective on the event and the state of technology in Indiana. Plus, the city of Bloomington, part of the 11-county Indiana Uplands region, an economy driven by life sciences, manufacturing, defense, and higher education. How the Mill has become the city's center for co-working and entrepreneurship and helped Bloomington earn the Rising Tech City Award. And ROSE-HULMAN Institute of Technology professor CARLOTTA is changing the face of engineering through outreach efforts to improve diversity among STEM students, faculty, and academic leadership. Learn why this year's TECHPOINT Foundation for Youth Bridge Builder Award winner is viewed as a rock star in the world of tech education. Details on those stories and much more ahead on this edition of Inside Indiana Business. Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick. The Mira Awards, the state's largest and longest running technology awards program, recognizes the best in tech in Indiana. This year, 16 award winners and honorees were chosen from a record-breaking 211 applications. 52 independent volunteer judges spent more than 850 total hours evaluating applications, interviewing nominees, and selecting this year's winners. A ROSE-HULMAN graduate earned not one, but 2 awards for Startup of the Year for his company, Malomo, and Rising Entrepreneur as well. Yao Aning is a serial entrepreneur and a product of the Orr Fellowship. He explains how the fellowship got him excited and enthused about business and about startups and launched him on his way.
Fellowship was just a great segue to watch the great companies of Indiana. I got to learn from people like Scott Dorsey of Exact Target, Scott Brenton and the team at Angie's List, and really see how those companies were built. And so it was really a great stepping stone. And then went after the fellowship and launched 2 companies after that, one of which led into the concept for Malomo. So yeah. I've been launching companies, I feel like, for my entire career. Yeah, we'll talk about your great company, Malomo, in a moment. But that journey, that entrepreneurial journey that has brought you to where you are today, the successes, the failures, both of those. Talk a little bit about those highs and lows that are really part of being an entrepreneur. You spend a lot of time thinking about your company and all the things that can go right and go wrong, you know. Launching a company is one of the hardest things to do. There's no playbook of what you need to do that helps you succeed, and so you really the skills that you need are really to learn and adapt as quickly as possible. Well, let's talk about the startup of the year, Malomo, a shipping tracking platform. Amazing growth story. You've doubled headcount, revenue growth over 500%. You raised $2.7 million in seed capital, I think a total raise of $8.2 million. What's really driving this excitement, this buzz around Malomo? Yeah, so I think one of the big things that we benefited from, where we take this concept very lightly too, is COVID, right? When prior to COVID, people would buy things either online or they'd shop in store. With shelter-in-place orders taking hold last year, people were forced to make all of their purchasing online. And so delivery experience became not a nice to have, but a need to have in the market. When you can buy a product from anywhere, you've got lots of options. It's important that customer experience be the key pillar for differentiating your products and services from another merchants online. And so that delivery experience became kind of a crucial piece to our customers and their overall experience for their consumers. And so we as deliveries went up dramatically, we saw engagement across our tracking pages go up 11x over the course of the year.
That's exciting growth. So looking ahead to a post-pandemic world, what are your expectations, your aspirations for Malomo?
Yeah, no, we look at post-purchase as kind of the next frontier in terms of customer experience. You know, COVID reset consumer behavior, right? Around 150 million people shopped online for the first time last year. That's astounding numbers, and we believe that delivery experience is going to be even more paramount. So we're looking to build the best marketing and retention platform for e-commerce merchants, doing that by helping them manage the post-purchase experience.
And I'm pleased to welcome back to the show TechPoint CEO Michael Angelier, who will provide some perspective on some of the winners again this year. Mike, as always, great to see you.
Thanks, Gary.
ANING, what a story. And his path to Indiana, his path to where he is now is an interesting one.
Yeah, his parents are actually immigrants from Africa. He grew up in Minnesota. ROSE-HULMAN Institute of Technology brought him here to Indiana, and then the OR Fellowship is what brought him into the tech community. And since that time, he has actually, this is his third startup. So I think Yao's story is a story of, one, the importance of talent attraction and the programs like the OR Fellowship and the Extern program and others that are taking the great talent that's coming to our universities and plugging them into our entrepreneurship and tech community. And it's also a story of entrepreneurial persistence because sometimes it takes a while in order to get a hit.
Two great themes, talent and persistence. Great story there. Well, we have much more ahead on this year's Mirror Awards, including a look at the thriving tech scene in Bloomington, this year's Rising Tech City Award winner, how spaces like the Mill are driving economic activity in South Central Indiana. It's time to go inside innovation, brought to you by Allegion, pioneering safety. The city of Bloomington stood out in this year's Mirror Awards and earned the Rising Tech City Award. Bloomington's thriving tech culture grows from a deep partnership between the Mill, the Bloomington Economic Development Corporation, IU, and Regional Opportunity Initiatives. The Mill's executive director, Pat East, explains what's driving Bloomington's tech community.
We've had a certified technology park in Bloomington for 10 or 15 years, probably a little bit longer than that if I do the actual math. Our current version of the certified technology park is called the Trades District. And so this is 11 acres in downtown Bloomington that the city purchased from IU a handful of years ago, specifically to develop more buildings and more properties and really spur economic development in the technology center. And the Mill was one of its first projects. We really wanted to focus on having a model and an anchor that other folks could pattern themselves after. So we transformed this central furniture factory into a hub of technology and innovation for the 21st century. And that's where all of our co-working, all of our innovation, all of our technology, it's kind of the epicenter for entrepreneurship in Bloomington.
Yeah, you mentioned really being a hub, an epicenter. I think that's probably a good and apt description of the Mill. It's more than a co-working space. It serves as kind of that rallying point. Would that be a correct statement? A place where the tech community really comes together.
That's definitely an apt description of the Mill. So it's not just co-working, it's not just office space. We really think of it as kind of the lightning rod, the epicenter of all things entrepreneurship here in Bloomington. All things startup. It's where people get together, where they create together, where they literally and figuratively run into each other. We know that the more ideas that people have, the more innovation's created. And so it's not just a co-working space. We try to create programming and run programming that furthers that mission of trying to create innovation and having more people and more ideas run into each other.
How excited are you about the future? As you look to the future, what's next?
So as we look to the future, especially coming out of this pandemic, now is the time for us to continue investing, to continue reinvest, to not let off the gas pedal at all. We know that economies and companies who kind of invest in right during this, right when it looks like it's a down cycle, end up coming out of the economy better than they did before. So we're going to continue investing in our people, continue building up our staff. We'll continue raising money, raising capital on behalf of our startups. We'll continue all the programming that we're doing. We're going to expand our programming. So everything that we did last year and the year before that, we're going to continue to double down on, figure out other things that make work. We'll expand those programs, and we'll just keep doing more of what we're doing.
Pat East is a real driver in Bloomington, and the mill has really become this hub for innovation and really having an impact on talent.
It is, and I've a personal anecdote. There's a gentleman named Ravi. He's a startup founder up in Chicago, and after he graduated from IU, he moved to Chicago, got married, and had a family up in Chicago. Amidst the pandemic, he and his wife decided to get out of the city, and they rented a house in Bloomington. And amidst that experience, she's a lawyer. They've decided to stay in Bloomington. He's going to move his company there. She's going to work remotely. The kids have seen a significant boost in quality of life. And it's case in point for why we're in this moment where placemaking like this is important, both for companies and also for talent attraction as well.
Yeah, great story. Yeah, I love that. Very good. Well, we have much more ahead. If anyone can make learning about engineering cool and fun, especially for underserved students, it's CARLOTTA Berry. More on this internationally known engineering and robotics expert who took home Mira's TECHPOINT Foundation for Youth Bridge Builder Award. That's when we return. Well, this year's TECHPOINT Foundation for Youth Bridge Builder Award winner is Dr. CARLOTTA Berry. She's a professor of electrical and computer engineering at ROSE-HULMAN Institute of Technology in Terre Haute. Dr. Berry helped create the first multidisciplinary minor in robotics at Rose and is on a mission to bring more people into the fold of STEM. For decades, she has focused her work to support women and minorities in engineering and STEM fields because when she was in college, she looked around the classroom, there weren't a whole lot of people who looked like her.
I thought engineering was really cool, really exciting, and really fun, but I saw a lot of opportunities to diversify it because I think all people could benefit from that experience.
Yeah, as you look at some of your efforts, and they are numerous, you arrived at ROSE-HULMAN Institute of Technology 15 years ago, and about a year later, you and another person there at Rose founded the Rosebud program. Talk about what that is all about and the impact that the Rosebud program is having.
So Dr. Deborah Walter and I started the NSF STEM grant. It was a $600,000 grant to diversify STEM, in particular to recruit more women and minoritized and marginalized populations to electrical and computer engineering and computer science and software engineering. And it's really taken off. All these years later, we're graduating about 25 to 30 students a year. They get a scholarship, there's mentoring, there's peer mentoring and faculty mentoring. They do a lot of social networking as well, like preparing them for the career fair. They're required to do internships, co-ops, as well as research experiences. And the school is telling us just because of the presence of our program, the number of women recruited in general on campus has improved as well.
Wow, that is impressive. A program really making a difference, to be sure. But that's not the only program you're associated with. Actually, during the pandemic last year, you founded both Black in Engineering and Black in Robotics. Talk about those groups, those organizations, and the goals there.
Absolutely. I started Black in Engineering with Dr. TERRE Reed and Dr. Monica Cox, and it was actually in response to the hashtag Black in the Ivory trending on Twitter, where people were sharing their experiences in STEM as a minoritized or marginalized academic. And we noticed there were not a lot of engineering posts, and we knew there are a lot of people of color who are engineers, so we formed this organization so we could create a call to action to become an anti-racist institution. Your
research area of interest is robotics and human interface, and I think that's fascinating, getting a lot of attention now, and it has real application for a state like Indiana with a heavy manufacturing presence, AI, robotics, really changing the face there. So your research focus I think is of great importance here in Indiana.
Thank you. Yeah, I do a lot of work on human-robot interaction. I've also done several presentations with colleagues on AI bias, a big one right now, where the police dogs that were in New York City a couple of weeks ago. But you always want to look at how people respond to robots and how they'll be able to work with robots in order to improve the world and make it better and to eliminate bias in AI.
What's next? You've created so many initiatives and organizations that are truly having a difference. You can point to those, but as you look going forward, are there more things you see in the future that will get behind efforts that are important to you?
Yes, absolutely. I just became the Giacoletto Endowed Chair in Electrical and Computer Engineering at ROSE-HULMAN, and a big part of my platform is to continue to diversify STEM by doing outreach for K through 12 through robotics workshops that are virtual and online, which makes sense during the pandemic. And also, I'm looking to write a book about Black women in STEM to normalize and market seeing more Black people doing engineering.
Improving and making the world better. You know, there's been a lot of talk, Mike, about diversity and inclusion over the last year. Carlotta Berry, she's been doing that and focused on that for a long time.
She has. Yeah, we've had this awakening in society, as you said, but she's been doing it for 2 decades. And you can see that she has started long time programs like the Rosebud, but even just recently, she's continuing to endeavor to make the world better. And she's doing it through thousands of students that she's educating at ROSE-HULMAN. And she's doing it through organizations like Black in Engineering and also Black in Robotics.
Yeah, very much a difference maker indeed.
Indeed.
Well, coming up next, he's an entrepreneur, business leader, philanthropist, and trailblazer. The founder and CEO of BC Forward, Justin Christian, is a visionary whose contributions have had lasting and significant impact on the state and the tech ecosystem. He's the 2021 Mira Award Trailblazer winner. Since its founding in 1998, BC Forward has grown into the state's largest information technology solutions and staffing company and one of the top 10 largest Black-owned businesses in the entire country. Its footprint reaches 47 states with more than 6,500 employees. Founder and CEO Justin Christian is this year's Trailblazer Award winner. He shares what's fueling growth and why he's giving back, including to his alma mater, DePaul University.
You know, two decades, sometimes I got to pinch myself. Certainly has been an exciting journey. And, you know, I really have to take a moment before I say anything and just really give a nod to my team. The leadership team that I've been able to assemble here at BC Forward over the course of the last 2 decades, and many of those folks have been with us 10 plus years that are currently leading the organization now, is second to none. I mentioned during the Mira Awards, they're really the true trailblazers as they create the magic for the organization.
You know, as you and I were talking before we started the interview, so much of the talent you've hired has come from local markets, from Indiana. So there's that, you feel comfortable with that kind of that pool of talent that's here.
So there's so many institutions to grab talent from, and we're always looking to see, you know, who's that next person that can really help take BC Forward to the next level. So, you know, we've been continuing to invest in looking to acquire talent all across the state to lead our global organization. And that's been something that we've been really, really excited about.
You mentioned DePaul University, your alma mater. You've given back a lot to the university. And I know one of the many reasons that you're receiving the Trailblazer Award is because of your generosity of giving back. What is it about your background, about maybe your upbringing that really prompts you to give back and want to really make a difference for others and organizations? You
know, several years ago, we stood up a Center for Diversity and Inclusion in Greencastle at DePaul University, really to create a safe space for domestic students of color, international students, the LGBTQ community, and we've just been really excited to see what DePaul has done with that facility. They continue to take it in a direction which is taking much more of an academic slant to it as well, looking to integrate classes and you know, have classes that really talk more about diversity and inclusion as well. So, you know, that's just one of the things that we are involved in. You know, we continue to invest as an organization in several different charities around Indianapolis, and that's just going to be something that's always really a part of our DNA as an organization.
What's next at BC Ford? I know you're going to hit, I think, a major revenue milestone coming up in the months ahead. But as you look at continued growth opportunities, what's the outlook at BC Ford?
Yeah, we're pretty excited about this milestone. We anticipate hitting $500 million in annual sales at some point in time in the next 12 months. And that's obviously something that is a testament, once again, to the team here, at BC Forward. We continue to make those investments in our people. We need to make sure that our folks are trained so that they can address customer critical needs, not only here domestically, but also globally.
Justin Christian, a really interesting and impactful guy, and someone who he's not from Indiana, another path to Indiana.
Yeah, he grew up, spent most of his childhood in New York, but interestingly, his dad for a time managed a YMCA here in Indianapolis, which gave him a taste of Indiana and helped kind of nurture his path to DePaul, which then brought him to the tech community here. I love Justin's story and BC Ford's story is just one that's oftentimes flies under the radar, but 6,500 people, yeah. I mean, it's a really good sized company and they've had a lot of success. I think Justin is very quick to deflect the spotlight to his team as a good leader. But one of the things that the Trailblazer recognizes is risk-taking. And a lot of times that's thought of as risk in business enterprise. But in Justin's case, he took risks on people. And that shined through in the tribute videos. And it was taking the risks on those people and putting them in opportunities to grow and thrive that not only benefited his business, but benefited those people's lives as well.
Put a bow on the 22nd Mirror Awards. Every year seems to get bigger and better. The momentum continues.
Yeah, indeed. And thanks for the opportunity to spotlight him here. We've talked about 4 companies, 4 winners of the 16. If I had to kind of package up the remainder really briefly, I think we saw 3 main themes emerge. You mentioned resilience in the beginning. In a year like this, that was certainly the case. There were several businesses that when the pandemic hit, their business was threatened in really significant ways. Socio, One Cause, Car Auction Services were 3 of those, and they truly figured out ways not just to survive but to thrive. They truly made lemonade out of lemons. There were also just examples of leadership, and Lilly was an example of that. GoodellNet, Ivy Tech, where they didn't just respond from a business standpoint, but they stepped up and showed real leadership. And then the last, I would say, innovation. We saw real examples of that as well. And I would encourage, there are great stories behind this. Go to our newsletters coming out today or coming out this week, and go to TechPointIndex.com to hear the stories.
Great perspective, Mike. As always, thanks for joining us. In our next half hour, how Farmer's Fridge took its vending machine made from scratch meals to the next level during the pandemic. Kylie Valletta explains what's driving the Chicago-based company's explosive growth in Indiana. Also ahead, Rolls-Royce turns to Purdue and Carnegie Mellon to address critical needs and enhancing its cybersecurity. More on the goal of this partnership and the role artificial intelligence will play. Well, this was a very big week for economic development deals in Indiana. Midweek, Toyota confirmed plans for another major expansion at its sprawling factory in Princeton in southwest Indiana. The automaker says it will invest more than $800 million and add another 1,400 jobs in Gibson County as it adds 2 electric vehicle lines, one a Toyota model, the other a Lexus.
I have to say 2 things. Lexus is a wow. Because that's for us, that shows that how proud Toyota is of our workforce, and hiring 1,400 new members is another wow, because we have open arms and want to be able to bring them into our family and to our Toyota family. So those 2 are my big wows.
And some really big numbers. The deal will push Toyota's direct employment in Gibson County to more than 9,000 by the end of 2023. Toyota's total investment in the Princeton plant will top $6.6 billion. Meantime, earlier in the week, global tech giant Apple has a new apple of its eye, and it's right here in central Indiana, the tiny town of Clayton in Hendricks County. The company has announced plans to build a $100 million distribution center just west of Plainfield, which will create about 500 jobs within the next 3 years. It will be operated by Connecticut-based XPO Logistics. Hendricks County officials say the key to the deal was Atlanta-based Core 5 Industrial Partners. It had a 1 million square foot spec building available for the project. The new center will accelerate delivery times, the company says, for customers in Indiana and around the country. We first introduced you to Farmer's Fridge in 2019 when the Chicago-based startup brought its concept to Indianapolis. The company's smart fridges are similar to vending machines, but stocked with healthy, fresh-made meals and stationed in busy office towers. But less than a year after launching in Indy, offices emptied as the pandemic sent workers home. Business of Health reporter Kylie Valletta tells us how the company is now adjusting its recipe for success. Kylie?
Thank you very much, Gary. Farmer's Fridge took a huge hit during the first 2 weeks of the pandemic when business plummeted 80% because the smart fridges rely on busy office buildings. Within 2 days, the company shifted its focus to a new option, home delivery. The concept has gained traction over the last 12 months, and now Hoosiers in almost any area of the state can have a healthy meal delivered to their doorstep. Farmer's Fridge founder and Chief Executive Officer Luke Saunders joins me now to tell us how the company's footprint will soon cover the entire state. Hi, Luke. Thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right, well, give us a quick refresher of Farmer's Fridge and how your mission really centers on healthy, fresh food.
Yeah, so the whole idea behind Farmer's Fridge is how do you make fresh, healthy food as accessible as a candy bar? So just before I started the business, I was a traveling salesperson driving 1,000 miles a week. And the whole idea was just get fresh, healthy food to more places. And when we started, that was actually through the smart fridges or vending machines that we put in offices, universities, and even places like the Indianapolis airport.
And I know the airport has 3 of them still operating now. So let's talk about the pandemic. You have this perfect business model all set up, and then it's completely turned on its head. There's like tumbleweeds blowing through offices and downtown. So take us back to what that time was like and how Farmer's Fridge responded.
Yeah, I mean, we were sitting in our own office thinking, okay, we may have to close soon. And we know a lot of our customers are busy people at work. They're on the go. They're traveling through the airport. That's about to stop. So where are they going to go? And we realized a lot of them were going to go home. And so they wouldn't be buying food at the fridges. And we thought, can we leverage what we do, which is make fresh, healthy food in a centralized kitchen? We have our own trucks and vans that distribute that food locally. Can we just change what we do to deliver it to people's houses? Because they're going to be just as busy. They're just going to be stuck at home. In a lot of ways, they're going to need things because there's not good food options for them at home. It's a whole new routine. So over the weekend, we built a Shopify website. We got the ops team behind switching our drivers from the nighttime to the daytime. We started doing home deliveries and actually were able to get back to our pre-pandemic revenue within about 6 to 8 weeks of the original shelter in place.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay, Luke, you just glazed over it, but you said over the weekend you made this happen. Tell me, just emphasize the timeline that you guys did this in.
Yeah, so I mean, we had always thought about how we would do home delivery. The focus was fridges, but when you're trying to make fresh, healthy food as accessible as a candy bar, really you want to be able to get it to wherever people are, and we knew we couldn't put a fridge everywhere. So nothing's more convenient than shipping it right to someone's front door. We had sort of piloted a few things, and then over the weekend, we had the tech team working late into the night to build a website that we could actually let customers come and take an order. And we had to do some things on the ops team to make it all possible. But really, it happened over the course of a weekend because we said, if we don't do this, we have no idea how long this is going to last. And our revenue is going to go down 80% because really we only were serving hospitals at that point. And so we had to figure out something. It was more of one of those moments where you say, if this doesn't work, I don't know what else we're going to do. And everybody just banded together and figured it out.
All right. Pretty impressive 48-hour pivot. So right now you deliver about roughly the top northern 2/3 of the state of Indiana. Tell us how you could expand to the whole state very soon.
Yeah. So right now we're actually, we do own delivery, which is our vans, and they drive around certain parts of the state. And then we partnered with UPS and FedEx to ship to about 2/3, like you mentioned. So if you're, within 30 miles south of Indianapolis up, we cover you in that delivery zone. And right now we're working on expanding it to the rest of the state over the next few months.
So we've talked about home delivery, but Farmer's Fridge, obviously fridge is in your name. It's who you are. How are the fridges doing now? And what's the plan for the fridges going forward?
Yeah, I mean, overall, the fridges that are open are doing great. So, for example, in Indianapolis, we opened with about 30 fridges. We actually added 4 during the pandemic, and about half of them are operating right now. And the fridges that are open are actually doing better than before the pandemic, because we added features like touchless pickup where you don't have to touch the fridge at all. And there's a lot less options. And so people are just, where the fridges are, they're doing very well. And now as people are going back to the office, so even here, we're starting to see people trickle in, things are continuing to improve. But it's actually still our biggest business, and still at the heart of what we do, because like I said, it's in our name, and it's a very unique offering that we do in the fridge.
Okay, just a few seconds left, Luke, but I want to give you a chance to talk about the meals that you've donated and also a new chef collaboration that also is going to benefit some people.
Yeah, so one of the things that we did in addition to launching home delivery is we really leaned into feeding frontline workers and communities in need. So we actually raised over $1 million and donated over 500,000 meals to communities in need and frontline workers at the height of the pandemic. And we continue to have hospitals be one of the biggest part of our business. And then we launched a chef collaboration program. So the same thing, we looked at the restaurant industry and said, how can we support this industry? And we were able to partner with some world-class chefs. And the current program that's running is actually Rick Bayless, a master chef. And so you can order a Rick Bayless meal delivered right to your front door.
All right, Luke, congratulations on your recent pivot, and keep us posted on how it goes.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Gary, back to you.
All right, Kylie, thank you. Well, one of the biggest threats to businesses today, getting hacked through a cyber attack or data breach. Rolls-Royce in Indianapolis says it's taking a proactive approach to securing its propulsion and power systems by forming a partnership with Purdue and Carnegie Mellon universities to conduct research to protect its commercial and defense platforms. Rolls-Royce Chief of Technology, Product, Cyber, Mike Gahn, and Purdue University's Managing Director of the Center for Education and Research in Information Assurance and Security, or CERIAS, Joel Rasmus, join us now with more on the collaboration and what it could mean for the future. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, I'll start with you. How did this partnership between Rolls, Purdue, and Carnegie Mellon, how did it come about?
Yes, our customers have identified securing products that are in the field as one of their highest priorities, and it's a new area. So we had to think of new ways to be able to secure our products, and we looked naturally to the academic field and identified Purdue and Carnegie Mellon as two preeminent universities that are researching cybersecurity that could be then worked on or applied to cyber physical products.
Yep, doing some really high-level projects there. Joel, CERIAS, I think it's important to point out, CERIAS at Purdue has a long history. You've been around for a long time and been doing some really high-level cyber stuff for a long time.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, we're going to have our 23rd annual event coming up this fall, but we're certainly the oldest and the top-ranked cyber physical security research institutes, not only in the United States, but across the world. So we're excited to be part of this initiative with Rolls-Royce.
And doing this kind of work, as you and I were talking off camera, it's different than information technology. This is OT, operational technology. Talk about the difference and why that's going to be a big part of this.
That's right. Yeah, and you are absolutely correct that is key to this here. We've long done research to protect computer networks and guard information that are stored in those systems, but this is a little bit different. This is cyber physical. So we're not really worried about somebody stealing the credit card information off of the Rolls-Royce engine. We're worried about somebody actually trying to make the physical engine do something that it was not designed to do. So this is about protecting the physical systems through the cyber connections.
Yeah, it might give us an example. I know this is highly technical stuff, but as some of these research projects that Purdue and Carnegie Mellon are really going to be working on.
Yes, one of the first projects we'll be working on is integrating artificial intelligence on our products for intrusion detection. As Joel mentioned, it's the devices that we have that are controlling our products are different than your typical computers or enterprise IT systems, and they have much more limited processing power. So it's really difficult to try to take some of those AI techniques and apply them to these type of products.
Yeah, Joel, I know this initiative is really reflective of Purdue's Next Moves initiative, which was just announced, a major initiative at the university. And really, there are applications in manufacturing and automotive and all kinds of areas that have a direct connection, a direct impact to Indiana.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So the cyber physical domain is really one of key interest to a number of our researchers here at Purdue as well as around the world. But so the same types of things that we're going to be developing to protect Rolls-Royce products can also be incorporated into protecting automobiles, protecting advanced manufacturing, and protecting lots of defense systems across the country. And all those things, as you said, mentioned, that fall right underneath the pillar of cybersecurity, which is part of the National Defense and Technology Initiative of the new Purdue Next Moves initiatives.
Yeah, Mike, as you look at what's next, I mean, just kind of beginning this partnership, but these types of things and this focus on cybersecurity, I've got to believe a lot more ahead in this space going forward.
Yes, this is not just a U.S.-based initiative. We're seeing needs and requests from customers globally on this. And one of the things that we're working on is expanding the network to other universities as well to help get the most diverse thought and the best expertise to apply to this challenge.
Yeah, and international in scope to be sure. Only have 30 seconds, but Joel, I'll throw this to you because I assume this really connects with Purdue's initiatives to connect the university with industry as well. Industry partnerships that are a big part, I know, of what's going on in West Lafayette.
It does, so Purdue is a land-grant university designed to be able to help solve real-world problems, and that's what this is. This is not ivory tower. This is not theory work. This is actually trying to make the world a more safer place. My last point I'd like to squeeze in here is that we've long believed that cybersecurity is an interdisciplinary perspective. And the 3 projects that Rolls-Royce is funding at Purdue this year come from 3 different colleges. So computer science, aero engineering, and liberal arts. So there's not, it's not owned by one domain. We're bringing many expertises to solve these problems.
Yeah, very interesting perspective, a unique partnership. Joel Rasmus from Sirius at Purdue, Mike Gahn from Rolls-Royce. Thanks very much. Look forward to following the partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
All right. Well, Fishers-based tech company Amplify, which developed an employee engagement platform, has been acquired by San Francisco-based 15Five in a deal valued at $50 million. Co-founder and CEO Santiago Jaramillo says the acquisition is the logical next step in a years-long partnership between the 2 companies, and existing Amplify employees will join the 15Five team. Jaramillo says after partnering to pursue new customers, it became very clear combining the 2 was really the optimal move. The Amplify platform was launched in 2016 as Bluebridge, a company originally founded by Jaramillo in 2011. He says 15Five plans to set up office space at the Switch in Fishers, with about 50 jobs being retained from the Amplify team. A big score for the Indy 11. The club is doubling down on its corporate partnerships through a new deal with an up-and-coming online sports betting company. Details next inside Indiana Sports. Well, after a start, stop, restart season in 2020, the Indy 11 are set to return for their 8th season, as well as a return to the familiar surroundings of Carroll Stadium at IUPUI. Bill Benner has more in this week's Inside Indiana Sports. Bill.
Thanks, Gary. After a pandemic-impacted season in which they ultimately missed the USL Championship playoffs, the 11 are back on the pitch, moving back to Carroll Stadium after 2 seasons at Lucas Oil Stadium. Joining us today to discuss the team's prospects, as well as a hope for eventual move to its own soccer home, is the team's president and CEO, Greg Stremlaw. Greg, welcome, and it's good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you too, Bill.
Let's, again, last year was a crazy season, but at least you had a season, and at least you had fans, so that put you in some kind of rarefied air, but I know you're eager to get back to normal.
We are, yes. Last year was certainly a very stressful year for everybody, but we made the best of it, right? We were able to reopen Lucas Oil Stadium. We had a very condensed season of 16 games in totality, and this year we're back on track for a regular season and getting fans back out to the mic.
And you're moving back to the Carroll Stadium, the original home of the Indy 11. And again, I know that's going to come with some safety protocols and some health protocols, but again, a good move back to your original home.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised by the positivity rate from our fans. They are really excited to be back outside. You know, smoke bombs, all the things and the paraphernalia that come with that outside atmosphere and the loudness. And so they are very excited. We're just looking forward to as we can increase our capacity levels throughout the summer as health restrictions continue to subside. And I know our fans will be ready.
Home opener May 8th against FC Tulsa. And at least again, Greg, at the outset, you are going to be restricted to, I believe, season ticket holders. Is that correct?
Yeah, for our home opener right now, it'll be our core season ticket base. There's not the ability to open up more than that right now, but we are looking forward to game number 2, May 22nd, potentially seeing that continue to increase in the games ahead. Some
exciting news on the sponsorship front. I believe Puma has come on board as well as a gaming sponsor. Talk about that, if you will.
Yeah, we've switched. So we have brand new kits, both home and away. We're very excited to be partnered globally with the Puma brand, one of the big 4 in the world. It's much more than just a kit sponsor. They're also doing things with our new youth development program around the state. They're going to be a sponsor of our fan festivals that we're going to be hosting as well. And they're going to give us a lot of digital and social media support and amplification that we're working together on. So we're really happy to have them on board. And yes, from a gaming perspective, very fresh news. You know, we've been looking at this space to try and have the right partner fit in with Indy 11, especially now that it continues to grow in the state of Indiana. And Bet Rivers is going to be one of our pillar partners to join the likes of Honda and Community Health as a significant player for the 11 going forward.
Coach Martin Rennie back on the pitch, and you've also made some roster changes that you believe will upgrade the squad.
I think, like any time, a 500 season was far inferior to our expectations last year. So we've made some tweaks. We've kept a core together, but also augmented it with guys like Jordan Hamilton, who many soccer fans are familiar with. He's already won 2 MLS Cups, both in Toronto and last year in Columbus. We've brought over Nicky Law, who has great experience from both the English and Scottish Premier League. So quite a few new, very talented players.
And as we wrap up, again, just a brief update on the prospects for the Indy 11 Park. I know it's been pushed down the road a little bit, but still that's the hope for the future.
Absolutely. Vision and commitment remains the same. Pandemic obviously has taken a lot of wind out of many sails, but back to the front burner right now. We are in continued pursuit of our final site selection, and once that happens, we look really forward to getting shovels in the ground.
Well, Greg Strimlaw, the president and CEO of the Indy 11, we wish you all the best for the season. It'll be great to see the team back at Carroll Stadium, and best wishes.
Thanks so much, Bill.
Thanks, Greg. And Gary, back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you. Well, the head count is in for Indiana in the U.S. Census Bureau. It's released initial numbers on how many people call to stay at home. We'll look at how we compare to our Midwest neighbors and what it means in this week's Around Indiana segment. Here's what's making news now around Indiana, brought to you by Chapman Heating, Air Conditioning and Plumbing, the man for all seasons, Chapman, chapmanheating.com. Well, the first 2020 U.S. Census numbers are in, and Indiana is holding steady, even showing some signs of growth population-wise compared to our Midwest neighbors. The state has grown by more than 300,000 over the past 10 years, outpacing Illinois, Kentucky, Ohio, and Michigan. Those states each lost 1 congressional seat, while Indiana maintained its 9 House spots on Capitol Hill. IU Kelley School of Business demographer Matt Kinghorn put the population shift into perspective for us.
So there's really 2 forces of population change. There's migration, and there's also a natural increase. So the number of births over the number of deaths. Right. And so we have a natural increase generally plays a larger role in total population growth. But we also have had a net in migration over this period as well.
Although the state experienced an uptick in population, IU Kelly says the newest headcount shows Indiana's pace of population change this decade falls short of the state's growth during the 2000s of more than 6%, and in the 1990s when it was almost 10%. Well, a founding family member of Oliver Winery in Bloomington says fans of the winery can expect business as usual now that there is new ownership. New York-based Next Phase Capital closed on its investment in Oliver last month. And Bill Oliver says the investment will help the winery become more of an economic driver in the region. The investment was first announced in January. Founder Bill Oliver will continue to serve on the winery's board of directors. Julie Adams, who previously served as president of the winery, has been promoted to CEO. They say plans are in place to add about 12 employees this year. A project that aims to reconnect Terre Haute's downtown with the Wabash River through public art and design is ready to launch. Our partners at WTHI-TV report the Turn to the River project will involve several phases, the first of which will add a sculpture and a celebration area between City Hall and the courthouse. Organizers say the project has been in the works for nearly a decade. Greg Good of the Wabash River Regional Development Authority says more than $700,000 has already been invested in that project. And this year's list of the best U.S. high schools from the U.S. News and World Report includes several Indiana schools. The Signature School in Evansville, once again the only Hoosier school to be included in the top 100, coming in at number 10. Nationally, the Signature School took top spot in Indiana. The publication ranks schools based on factors including college readiness, curriculum breadth, and underserved student performance. To see the other top 10 Indiana schools and national rankings, just go to InsideIndianaBusiness.com. Well, Ben Davis High School in Indianapolis is where longtime broadcaster KRISTI Lee got her start in radio back in the 1970s. She's my guest this week on the Business and Beyond podcast. KRISTI has been a fixture on the nationally syndicated Bob and Tom show since 1988, and she's rubbed elbows with some pretty famous celebrities over the years, including Dolly Parton, Peter Frampton, and a couple of strange encounters with Ozzy Osbourne.
He's very hard to understand. Tom and I got to be on stage with him at Market Square Arena dressed as monks in these robes. And all we can both remember is the huge zit that was on his back, which was so disgusting. And then when he came here the one time, he picked me up in the parking lot. I have a picture of that somewhere. I don't know where it was. I don't know why, but he carried me around in the parking lot. He's a weird dude.
More great stories from broadcast pioneer KRISTI Lee on this week's Business and Beyond podcast. To check it out, just go to InsideIndianaBusiness.com and click on the subscribe tab. And I'll be right back after this. Stay with us. Coming up next week, food is a great way to explore and learn about other cultures. In our Trendiana segment, we're celebrating Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Yelp's Brittany Smith will highlight Asian-owned businesses around Indiana, from a vibrant Burmese refugee population in Fort Wayne to a popular Thai eatery offering drive-through enrichment. Those stories and much more coming up next week. I'm Gary Dick. Thanks for joining us. Go out and make it a successful week.
Inside Indiana Business with Gary Dick is a production of Grow Indiana Media Ventures with support from WFYI Productions.